Namaskar. Welcome to another edition of Navimash podcast and reading sessions. So, after a bit of time, we were actually working on few recordings of the sessions for the upcoming podcast. So, I think today also we will be doing a recording, and tomorrow also we will be doing a few recordings, and they will be available to you once we upload it. But we thought let's continue our reading sessions. Today we are going to read this book, Indian Borders at Stake, Citizenship and Illegal Immigration. This is by Mr. Sanjoy Ghoshal. He is actually an academic, professor who teaches at a university, and this actually I read part of it out of the book, and I thought actually because the current political situation in West Bengal, where you have the elections very near, and illegal immigration is an issue in West Bengal. So we thought, okay, why don't we talk about it? Why don't we talk about because generally these are very important issues. The border with Bangladesh, and we know what has happened post 5th August 2024, and the threat of Islamic terrorists entering West Bengal. And we have seen a couple of incidents where the Bangladeshi jihadi organizations and their members were hiding in West Bengal. So this illegal immigration from Bangladesh, specifically in West Bengal, it's also an issue in Northeast, specifically with Assam and other northeastern states falling into this. But West Bengal, because of its demography, because of its importance as gateway to the East India, so it is very important. So we thought, okay, let's discuss this book, and we also probably have the author come with us, and we're going to discuss with the author directly the motivations behind the writing this book and why it is important that he wrote this book. So we'll discuss him as well, but let's discuss this topic itself and the book itself. So the book is divided into chapters. So I'm just going to read the chapter name itself. It give you an idea. Citizenship and uncomfortable question. Very interesting chapter name itself. Chapter 2, rationalizations of chronology. Interesting. I didn't read the chapter, but I read a couple of them. Chapter 3, volatility of demographic challenge. Now, this is very chapter which is interesting. You also have borders breached, impact of the incursion, the illegal immigration from Bangladesh, specifically Rohingyas and Bangladeshi Muslim people who are coming here, and they are making a change to the demographics of the places. Culmination of freedom undone. Chapter 6, turbulent times for national security and integrity. Securing the border gateways. Groundwork of citizenship data. Assertion of India's identity. Now, these have been a couple of these issues which are discussed in the book. I can show you here. You can see this. Couple of these issues have been quite hot political issues for last I would say decade, or maybe less than a decade, but with NPR, a National Population Register, being an issue. Then you had CAA being passed by the government, BJP-led government. That had quite a political issue. So, and these needs to be discussed. So, reading this book, who is an academic, so that gives much more credit. So, why they are important? So today we are going to read a part of chapter. So I'm going to read the book, chapter 4, that is page 85, borders breached, impact of incursion. So this is very important part. So 85. Chapter 4, borders breached, impact of incursion. Resources are inherently limited in the world. The struggle of humankind revolves around the control of these scarce resources. Those who control them ascend to power hierarchy. Two of the most significant factors are economic and political power. According to Max Weber, these factors tend to attract one another. Now, interesting bit of information, which is we also understand from our studies of sociology, that political power and economic power are very important and they are interrelated. Two of the most significant factors are economic and political power. According to Max Weber, these factors tend to attract one another. If a person has control over one, the other often follow. Interesting part. The concept of resource scarcity is universal. Even if a country possesses a vast number of resources, there, there can still be shortage to meet the needs of the entire population. These necessities, this necessitates proper planning and implementation to ensure equitable distribution and access of it, access of at least basic resources for all. Modern nation states compete with one another to acquire and build these powers in order to lead across various parameters. The focus of different countries in today's world is to build economic power. India is in the race to become one of the top contenders among the largest economies. Now, why India? Now, let's analyze it. Let's discuss it. So, the author says in the very earliest stage, in the first para itself, that economic power and political power are interrelated. So, and he mentions that a person or a state has control over one, whether economic or political, the other often follows. Now, why India is trying to become one of the topmost economies in the world? Because when you have economic power, you can build your political power. So they are quite important, and with political power, you might gain other powers as well, which are of importance as well. The policies of the Modi government have played a vital role in this regard, making India the fourth largest economy with prospects for further growth. Although, like any other government, it faces its share of criticism. The fact that it has provided impetus to India's growth story is undeniable. Initiatives such as Atmanirbhar Bharat, Make in India, Jan Dhan Yojana, Ujjwala Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, Ayushman Bharat, and many other measures have successfully contributed to poverty reduction and improved living standards for the citizens. Direct benefit transfer (DBT) and the provisions of rations have been transformative steps. Achievements in transparency and corruption free governance are indeed commendable. The government has also utilized technology for the seamless delivery of these schemes. TMC MP Mohua Moitro, in an interview, stated that Bangladesh is performing better than India in terms of various parameters. Such a denial from a public representative is questionable when Bangladesh cannot even be compared to India in absolute terms. The Congress and TMC ecosystems are crafting an image that suits their political agenda, relying on manipulated data to strengthen their arguments, while the ground reality remains entirely different. From dependence on energy to medieval tourism, Bangladesh is highly reliant on India. Okay, let me see. From dependence on energy to medical tourism, Bangladesh is highly reliant on India. There is no comparison in infrastructure as India is far superior in this aspect. Additionally, Bangladesh has volatile political conditions that create an atmosphere of uncertainty, unlike India, which is a stable country. Those who are ignorant and those who are trying to create ignorance selectively overlook these factors. No Indian should fall for the propaganda that Bangladeshis lack adequate or compelling reasons. Now, that's a very funny thing. No Indian should fall for the propaganda that Bangladeshis lack adequate or compelling reasons to come to India. In reality, they aspire to be in India. This is why this is why many come to India illegally, with many being caught and apprehended by the BSF. The thriving Muslim community in India acts as a magnet for illegal immigration from Bangladesh. Oh, that's an interesting point. The thriving Muslim community in India acts as a magnet for illegal immigration from Bangladesh, raising serious concerns about the demographic imbalance and national security. These intruders, the Muslim Bangladeshi intruders, these intruders have significant implications. First, we will discuss the socio-economic consequences that arise from their presence. In a disguised manner, they enjoy the rights of citizens, claiming everything the Indian government provides to its citizens. The local Indian population is forced to face various direct and indirect consequences due to them. Why the illegal immigration from Bangladesh is a national security threat? It mentions employment is one of the burning issues in the country. These intruders take on different jobs at a lower wage as they have spread to various parts of the country and offer cheap labor. They are often hired. Primarily, they engage in informal work from factory jobs to household assistants. Their presence directly affect wages, bringing them significantly lower than what should be appropriate remuneration for the work. This leaves Indians underpaid or without jobs. In the context of the formal sector, experts point out that they may have infiltrated the system. If this is true, they are burdening an already complex job market. It is challenging to differentiate them, which gives them the opportunity to covertly become part of the mainstream. In many regions of the country, they have entered the food and restaurant business, primarily focusing on dishes such as biryani and kebabs. This raises suspicions about what they might be mixing into the food. They have reached Kerala for employment due to the scarcity of local labor in Kerala. The wage rates are higher than average. During a raid in Kerala as part of the Operation Clean in 2024, many Bangladeshi nationals were found. Most of them belong to the Khulna district of Bangladesh and possess forged documents supporting their claim of being Indian. However, a deeper investigation revealed the truth. They first entered. Now, this is the most important part where the elections in West Bengal, which are happening, which will be happening in a month or two from now, are very important, and how the illegal Bangladeshi immigration, specifically Rohingya and Rohingya Muslims and Bangladeshi Muslims who are entering India through West Bengal, and why the border state being West Bengal is very important for the national security and integrity. They first entered West Bengal, which is their favorite state. Now, the question is why West Bengal is the favorite state of these illegal Bangladeshi immigrants? Why West Bengal is their choice? What's being done? where they are getting these documentations, who is helping them. However, a deeper investigation revealed the truth. They first entered West Bengal, which is their favorite state, and later moved to Kerala with the help of agents and worked as daily wage laborers. This is just the tip of the iceberg. In many regions, they have hijacked employment opportunities, leaving Indians deprived of them. If random raids reveal this situation, then a more systematic investigation could expose the extent of the problem. Interestingly, when the Gurugram police raided and apprehended Bangladeshi nationals, there was a sudden shortage in the number of maids. The reason behind this was that these illegal immigrants began to move back to Bangladesh or their safest haven, West Bengal. Now, again, we need to think why these Bangladeshi infiltrators are finding West Bengal as a safe haven. Who is helping them? Why they are being helped? Who is giving them documentations? If you're going to go and search bit of news portals, you will see that there have been a lot of many news where the fake documents, Aadhaar cards and voter ID cards were dumped in West Bengal in various reasons. You had NIA raids happening there in West Bengal. So you can see what's happening. Jharkhand is now emerging as a second best choice for them due to the appeasement politics of the Hemant Soren government. These intruders are creating a burden on the already strained job market. They entered India through West Bengal, exercise voting rights obtained illegally. Who is giving them voting rights? Which states are providing this? And why West Bengal is their primary choice to enter India illegally, and later move to more industrialized states like Gujarat and Haryana. West Bengal has been dismantled as an now again this is a statement. West Bengal has been dismantled as an industrial powerhouse by the communist government, and the subsequent TMC government has further destroyed the state's economy. This has forced migration. This has forced migration among the local population to different states for employment. The West Bengal government has failed to create job opportunities in the state, leaving the youth disillusioned about employment prospects. The very convenient model is available to illegal immigrants. They benefit from welfare schemes intended for Indian citizens. Due to the appeasement politics and protective measures enacted by the TMC government, they become beneficiaries of both central and state government schemes. This raises the question, why should Indian taxpayer, predominantly Hindus, bear the cost of Bangladeshi nationals? It is a direct burden on our taxpayers. Okay, so Neon is asking, according to you, has the demography battle in West Bengal been lost for the long term? It's difficult to say, but we have to learn from Jews. Okay, so the one problem I find, maybe due to our education system, is that we are unable to think out of box. So if there is a problem of birth rates, okay, then why aren't we as Hindus, okay, are able to find out of box solutions to actually manage the demography? No, see, every problem has a solution. So when you have this defeatist mindset, so I tell everybody whom I meet or I talk to that every solution will create a problem. Every problem comes with a solution. So we as individuals, we as part of groups have to think what can be done about it. So correct, in Ramayan you had correct Gilhari, correct. Uh, so that Gilhari was contributing it to build the Ram Setu. In the same way, let's think and what we can be done about it. So CA, correct. CA, you had CA, and you have quite a bit of population of Hindus. You can actually promote at individual levels and also at a level of society, actually have more kids. So nothing is lost. Times change. In 1947, we had a different kind of problems. Today, we have a different kind of problem. And we can have a solution to this. But don't think it is lost. Nothing is lost. You can regain whatever you want if we have enough conviction on ourselves. Okay. A free temple movement that frees the temple institutionally and constitutionally make it possible for temples to eventually make it that they can incentivize having. Absolutely correct. Yes. See, the ask yourself. Okay, ask yourself as a Hindu or myself. I ask why me as an individual is not serious enough to actually create our own individual efforts to have our temples free. There are issues within the Hindu society because we are diverse group of people, and until a significant number of people, Hindus who are not significantly like invested in temple freedom movement, this will not happen. So that is a reality that we have to live with. So the only solution I see is that individually at group level, we have to create awareness about the temple movement, why temples needs to be free, by maybe writing a post on some social platforms. If you don't have any other power, every individual needs to make that effort to create awareness that why temple freedom movement is beneficial. Give people who are ignorant, people who don't know about it, give them that information so that they can understand that this will see its human behavior is directed by incentives. Until people see the good incentives of having a temple free, people will not be joining in masses. Emotions do work, but they take time. Right? It took several decades to actually create the Ram Janmabhoomi movement. In 1947, you had our independence, but in only 1980s, you had the Ram Janmabhoomi movement take shape and became a kind of a emotional movement across the Hindus in their consciousness. The same way, it will take time for this social engineering to take place when you will have more people like us who are talking about this. You are talking about this, so slowly it will move on. But yes, politics can certainly can help on this to make it better. Thank you, Aman, for your help and support. So we try to do as much as possible to actually read and make it more available, all the books material to people, and give also people platform. Thank you again, and do subscribe and share our content whenever you get a chance. And do share your comments as well, like what we can do better. We are trying to make some changes. It will take some time, but we are trying to make a bit more innovative programs. Okay. So since state assumes a secular nature, it cannot be do this specifically for only one country. See, in politics, so one thing is important to understand. In politics, you do not have truth. Okay, so disassociate truth from politics. Politicians will tell you, I will do these things, and after that they win elections, half them will not be done. To have political, to have the temple freedom movement gain ground, we need consistent long-term vision of putting political pressure on political parties across the party lines. Not only BJP, not only every political party that is there, we Hindus need to tell them unequivocally that we want our temples back. So without political pressure put on by the individuals, by our people like us who vote to political parties, you will not have that temples back. And that is how things are. Yeah, if we can replicate the Ram Janmabhoomi movement, when it comes to temple with the movement, you can have it. But it again, it's a very complex social engineering task. Yeah, I read that, and thank you very much. Okay, we need to make temple freedom movement and elect, exactly that's what I'm talking about. That we need to make temple freedom movement an electoral point. See, if you see the BJP manifesto, the BJP manifesto had Ram Mandir, they had 370, and I think there are few more are there. I remember, but these two are there, which are Hindu issues in general. So, as vote as voting people, we need to ask all the political parties, including BJP, that our demand is we need our temples back. Until the political parties and politicians hear from us that what people want, they are not going to pay heed to us. So groundwork is required. Also, we require narrative to be built via podcasts, via books. So there are a couple of books which we have. We're going to read about it as well regarding temple economy. We had Yogi Adityanath doing a lot of good work in terms of temples. We had recently an IAM study on temple economy released by UP government. So all people have to chip in. Okay, so let me read as well, and we'll keep your comments coming. These A very convenient model of is available to illegal immigrants. They benefit from welfare schemes intended for Indian citizens due to the appeasement of politics and protective measure enacted by the TMC governments. They become beneficiaries of the both central and state government schemes. This raises the question, why should Indian taxpayers, predominantly Hindus, bear the cost of Bangladeshi nationals? It is direct burden on our taxpayers. Accountability of the parties that wish to support drain of India's resources should be taken into consideration by the citizens. Important that those parties, those political parties, those politicians who are helping these illegal Bangladeshi immigrants to come, provide them documentation, provide them identity cards, provide them employment opportunities, provide them various government schemes at the expense of the Indian citizens. They need to be shown the door that they there will be a political, there needs to be a political consequence for supporting these illegal immigrants who are a threat to national security and integrity. The free flow of money for providing them with facilities must immediately stop. Indians have to Indians have no responsibility to provide anything to Bangladeshi nationals. Welfare schemes are created to be used for the betterment of Indians. Any nation implements welfare schemes and poverty alleviation programs to promote the interest of its citizens. This directly affects the state exchequer as it carries its own economic burden. The time has come for better resource planning where benefits to intruders can be halted. The government should assess the economic implications that these intruders are causing to the Indian state. In terms of facilities like education and healthcare, India is building its own infrastructure. Education must be the highest standard to compete at the international level. The government, through its interventions, is establishing new IITs, IAMs, PM Shri schools. So Pradhan Mantri Shri School is a scheme by the central government where the central government is building schools for where people of lower income groups children can send there to the schools, and this is funded by by the central government 100%, where areas where there are less schools and there are people who are poor and others. This is being done at the primary, secondary, and higher secondary levels. Educational outcomes are tracked at different levels to ensure improvement in the quality of education. In healthcare, many new hospitals and medical colleges are being constructed. The government is also focusing on establishing primary healthcare centers where the weaker, downtrodden, and economically backward people can receive treatment with ease. Schemes like Ayushman Bharat have proven to be game changers. Previously, in the event of illness or health issues, family savings were exhausted. However, the launch of this scheme has provided significant financial support to Indians. This brings us this brings us back to the question of the rights of Bangladeshi nationals concerning Indian resources. The Indian government and state governments are neither accountable to them nor have any obligation to serve their interests. By granting them these rights, they are being pampered, and before long, they may act as a more assertive manner. Parties that are in power due to their mercy, due to mercy present, due to mercy, present us with the real risk. To maintain their vote bank politics, they support the rights of intruders. Now, this is important. Parties that are in power due to their mercy present us with the real risks. Which parties we are talking about? To maintain their vote bank politics, they support the rights of intruders, which they already practice. Such governments continually seek avenues to accommodate these illegal intruders who are not Indians. Political parties that are not in power and aspire to win elections also employ these tactics. Whenever the central government considers any action against them, it provokes a huge uproar from these parties. In Assam, the Congress is the biggest savior of these Bangladeshi nationals. Whenever any action takes place, Congress is the first to take a stand in their favor. We can see in the media how Congress leaders rush to any location where action against the intruders occur. Chief Minister Hemanta Biswa Sarma is determined to take action against Mia Muslims. A term used to refer to Bangladeshi Muslims, but the Congress leadership, both at state and national levels, is strongly opposed to it. To drive out these illegal immigrants, several eviction drives have been initiated, resulting in significant uproar. That the situation has escalated to the point where elected MPs and MLAs from Congress have taken to the streets to protect the Muslims from any action. Furthermore, to undermine their ideological education, Sarma has taken coercive steps against the madrasa, which act as propagators of jihadi values and emphasizes mainstream education for Muslim students. Sharma has also played an important role in preserving the core values of nationalism. He has maintained peace and stability in the region. During the Congress rule under Indira Gandhi and Rajiv Gandhi, Assam often witnessed instability due to their policies. However, today the state is prospering. with investments pouring in. It also being promoted as tourism hub by the state government, boosting the state's economy and livelihood. Now, interestingly, in contrast, in West Bengal, where Congress, Communist, and the Trinamool Congress have ruled, they have undermined the state's dynamics through their appeasement politics. To appease the Muslim vote bank, they introduced numerous initiatives. One of the most notable examples is the inclusion of Muslims in the OBC list of West Bengal. Certain changes were made to the OBC list of the state that largely benefited Muslim castes. In a way, this attempted to recreate the Muslim League's proposal for separate and safe Muslim seats. It is based on the recommendation of the West Bengal Backward Classes Commission. In the state, the reservation for other backward classes (OBCs) is divided into two separate categories. The first group, termed OBC A, carries 10% reservation and includes 81 communities, 56 of which belong to Muslim community. The second group, known as OBC B, offers 7% reservation and comprises 99 communities, with 41 from Muslim community. Altogether, out of 180 communities, 97 are identified as Muslim communities in the state. We can assess the gravity of the situation by understanding how providing these reservations could further lead to the infiltration of ranks in administration and education by individuals who do not belong to the original communities. This not only creates problem for the state but also for the entire nation. Terrorist organizations could place their moles in the administration, potentially hijacking it as it occurred before independence. Now, what is this thing? Very interesting part. This not only creates problems for the state but also for the entire nation. Terrorist organizations could place their moles in the administration, potentially hijacking it as occurred before independence. The author is talking about 1946 Direct Action Day, where the Muslim League was in power, and Muslim League made sure that when the Muslim mobs were massacring Hindus, the police did not do anything because it was controlled by the Muslim admins. After partition, the Muslim bureaucracy and government workforce. Now, this is very interesting. After partition, the Muslim bureaucracy and government workforce also persecuted Hindu families. They cut essential supplies such as access to water. While they were supposed to act neutrally, they acted in favor of their religion. Direct favoritism was shown to Muslims, while the interests of Hindus were undermined. Government staff in Pakistan used their power to seize the property and wealth of Hindus and Sikhs. It is alleged that in the case of the exodus of Kashmiri Pandits, public representatives and administrative workforce largely acted according to their religious affiliations. If this was the case, it comes into direct conflict with the constitutional principles of the country and law of the land. This claim is substantiated by the fact that such a large exodus could not have occurred without their support. Bringing these facts to light is often treated as controversial due to the powerful false narrative built around them. Questions regarding this issue cannot be raised as they violate the principle of the established notions of secularism, quoted, which in reality does not prevent logical inquiry. This complicates the problem further and allows it to proceed without scrutiny. Unfortunately, the issue of cultural alterations and ethnic shifts isn't receiving enough attention. Now, what is this? The issue of cultural alterations and ethnic shift isn't receiving enough attention. Culture is essentially part of human existence, handed down from one generation to the next. It encompasses language, ideas, beliefs, customs, values, institutions, tools, technologies, artistic expressions, ritual ceremonies, and various other elements that shape human life. Ethnicity refers to large group of individuals who share a common culture, language, history, and traditions, or to the state of belonging to such groups. The belief that Hindu Bengalis, very important part, the belief that Hindu Bengalis share significant parts of cultural tradition with one another is not accurate. Although there are certain similarities, they are essentially fundamentally differences are shaped by religious beliefs which significantly affect various outcomes. This distinction is even more pronounced in the Santhal Pargana region of Jharkhand and the Simanchal region of Bihar. However, it is gradually being altered by illegal immigrants. They are settling and displacing original population of the land using various strategies. This is an old tactic from their playbook. When Muslim rulers were in power, they employed the same strategy to change the cultural order of a place. They often encourage the Muslim population to move to areas where their numbers were low, acting as a catalyst in altering the local demographics. Yes, yes, yes. I had watched the whole thing. In a more recent trend, this was evident in Sindh. Muslim religious and political leaders recognized that to make to make the province Islamic, they needed a majority population in the state. Gradually, they continued to change the demographics of the province, resulting in a situation where it became cradle, cradle for the activists of the Muslim League. Despite the fact that Karachi was established as a business hub by Hindus and Parsis, they were ultimately alienated from the land. Later, Muslims took control of it and persecuted Hindus. Even the wealthiest Hindus could not save themselves from wrath of these Muslims due to the demographic shift. Now, demographic shift, illegal immigration from primarily Muslim Bangladeshis and Rohingyas is a demographic shift. So, okay, what do you make of his statement about not being Bengali or Marathi or Gujarati, but being a Hindu from Bengal, Maharashtra, and Gujarat? Basically, putting Hindu identity first before any other. Obviously, that is the case. Like, okay, this is something very like I wanted to talk about it. But thanks for this comment. As two individuals, correct, even within the family, correct, if you have your sisters and brothers, correct, there will be some aspect that you disagree with your family members or your friends or your relatives or your colleague, and some aspect that you agree upon. Now, the problem is that we as Hindus are focusing too much on what we disagree upon. We have to shift our focus as individuals and also as groups to actually find out what we agree upon, because it is not possible as thinking, living human beings that you will agree with everything what I say. That is not possible. But can we find out something that we agree upon as individuals, as groups? And then, okay, so what JSD is talking about is that aspect, that Ma Saraswati is worshipped in South India. Ma Saraswati is worshipped in North India. She is worshipped in East India. Vidya, education, is something which is we all agree upon. No Hindu is going to disrespect Ma Saraswati and say education is bad. So why don't we focus on our common Hindu identity and build our consensus on that rather than uh, whether you are veg or non-veg. So that focus has to come in, and that has to come from us individually, like JG is telling. JG is telling you in a symbolic manner that you have something in common as well. Why don't you, like, we respect from Marathi perspective, we respect Shivaji Maharaj for what he has done as a Hindu, and that is something that, and same way we have people from Maharashtra who appreciate what has been done by the Bengali revolutionaries. Subhash Chandra Bose is a Bengali, but he is appreciated, he is respected as an Indian. So we have to focus on that. So what JJ is telling, that focus on a Hindu identity and find something which is common to both Marathis, to both Gujaratis, to both Bengalis, and then build your relationships rather than focus only on differences. Also focus on also the common things which we have. Okay, I think that statement of his might contain the solution to regionalism of a certain extent. Also, his plea to keep Hindu problems inside the house. Yes, very important, correct. Uh, and that's a see, like we are too much truthful in the problems inside a house instead of discussing in front of outsiders. It is very important, and it's a quite significant thing that he has mentioned publicly. That correct. In Gujarat, correct, they are worshipping Shakti, but they are having veg food. In West Bengal, you are worshipping Shakti, you are having non-veg food. Now you both are Shakti Upasak. Now whether it is non-veg or veg, that you can discuss internally. Na? Why you have to shout and shame other people who are worshipping the same deity, same Shakti? Isn't it foolish from our side? And that we have to realize that whatever may be the political things, there are something common. Let's focus on the common things and let's talk to each other. We are not talking to each other enough. We have too much ego. I always talk about, when I also talk personally with people, that Hindus have a lot of ego. We have to let go our ego. I might not be right. Okay. You have a right to contradict me, what I am saying, and I am happy to accept it. Okay. Your position is something, and you work on them. I cannot force you, I should not force you to believe what I say. Have disagreements, but also have agreements as well, and then work on it. So that is very important part, and people need to understand this non-veg and veg thing between Hindus. This happens, and this is a very symptom that what Jay is talking about. That you don't have to keep your differences, keep your arguments within, and tell to everybody that we are not united. Even we have differences, let's talk internally. Why I have to show this to everybody, to outsiders who are enemies, that see, we are divided, see, we are fighting with each other on the veg and non-veg food, and the enemy says, okay, these guys are fighting among themselves. This emboldens our ideological enemies. He is talking about that. Okay, I think we can finish this. The ethnicity and core ethnic values Okay. Despite the fact that Karachi was established as a business hub by Hindus and Parsis, they were ultimately alienated from the land. Later, Muslims took control of it and persecuted Hindus. Even, even the wealthiest Hindus could not save themselves from the wrath of these Muslims due to the demographic shift. Sindh finds an explicit mention in the national anthem of India, yet India ultimately lost it. Demographics. Ethnicity and core ethnic values that contained any Hindu. Okay, now this is very important. You are asking this question again. The author actually gives you a bit of solution here. The ethnicity and core ethnic values that contained any Hindu element have been erased. Such is the intolerance that a land which was part of India just a century ago hardly retains any aspect of Hinduism. Whatever is left is symbolic in nature. We are still unable to perceive the intensity of the danger knocking at our doors. Parts of parts of Indian subcontinent that had largely remained Hindu majority for centuries have lost their cultural and ethnic identity in very recent times. The anti Hindu ecosystem has built a global narrative. Now, the anti Hindu ecosystem has built a global narrative of Hindu majoritarianism in India. They falsely project the rise of Islamophobia in the country. Several NGOs and organizations spend millions of dollars. Now, this number is important. Several Several NGOs and organizations spend millions of dollars to manufacture and propagate their myth. However, what India is experiencing is entirely the opposite. We are facing an existential crisis in our country where many districts become Muslim majority, leaving Hindus with no choice but to leave. But why? A sizable proportion of these districts are inhabited by intruders whose aim is to eliminate Hindus. In international organizations like the UN and its agencies, Hindus lack strong voice. Their interests are seldom discussed, crimes against them are often neglected, highlighting how Hindus actually lacked soft power. Waves of persecution against Hindus have not received proper mention. It is high time that Hindus confront this existential crisis on a global platform, highlight their problems, and attract the right attention. Halal food, which includes meat, beverages, dairy products, etc., is promoted by Muslims, whether they are in the majority or minority. This becomes especially important in the context of non vegetarian food, where they refuse to consume. Now, Hindus have become too much accommodative. Their nature as Hindus, we accommodate the differences. But when your accommodation becomes a tool for the other to exterminate your identity, that becomes a problem. That we don't see whether halal is there or not, we just consume meat, but not with the other communities. This becomes especially important in the context of non-vegetarian food, where they refuse to consume food if non-Muslims had been involved in the process of its manufacturing or preparation. In India, many restaurants openly promote halal food. Interestingly, halal is a $1 billion industry. But the irony in India is that a Pakistani, a Bangladeshi Muslim can participate in this industry while an Indian Hindu cannot. This might be the reason why several Bangladeshis were apprehended during raids by Indian agencies while involved in the halal meat business. They operate it successfully without facing any issues. The halal market is continuously growing in India and also contributes substantially to the global supply chain. An increasing number of companies are applying for halal certification. Meanwhile, Hindus lack any body at this level that could provide certification according to their religious principles. They even lack basic awareness of halal food and consume it without questioning it. It is often observed that whenever Muslims from majority, it is often observed that whenever Muslims form a majority, they tend to differentiate between law of the land and their religious principles based on convenience. For example, the Constitution of India clearly lays out a uniform civil code, which means that every citizen will have the same socio-political rights, not based on personal laws derived from religion. This aim this aims to promote unity among citizens. However, Muslims often oppose it. In contrast, extreme punishments are mentioned in the criminal laws of Islamic theology, which they do not demand. This creates a dilemma regarding rights and privileges and duties. On the other hand, when the Indian government introduced the Waqf Amendment Act to regulate Muslim religious institutions more effectively and transparently, it became a contentious issue. Institutions cannot continue operating without scrutiny and they must be held accountable. Waqf holds a massive amount of property and has various discretionary powers, which have led to misuse and exploitation. The Waqf Amendment Act also aimed to increase female representation. It is alleged that these institutions have been used to channel funds to illegal immigrants and assist them in settling across India. All of this has led to unnecessary politi- uh, politi- politicization in the country. Rather than taking a rational approach, the opposition parties have given it a communal color. They feel compelled to do so as their vote bank expects it from them. They do not seem to care whether it aligns with law of the land. What they care about is keeping Muslims satisfied with their actions. Law and politics often comes into conflict for several reasons. The ever appeasing parties want the illegitimate demands of their voter base to be accepted even at the cost of neglecting the constitution. It seems as if the spirit of the Muslim League now interesting. It seems if the spirit of the Muslim League did not die even after partition of the nation, it was initially inherited by the Congress party and gradually found a place in other political parties. These parties do not even consider needs of Hindu voters. The laws were made in such way that they favored the Muslim minority over the Hindu majority. Muslims' personal laws were given preference over laws that would be genuinely secular, scientific, and logical. This division of the population was disproportionate, leading to the alienation of the Hindu majority. In the case of Muhammad Ahmed Khan and Shah Banu Begum and others, the woman was subjected to triple talaq and denied any kind of maintenance by her husband under the Islamic law. This case went through the various tiers of judiciary, finally reaching the Supreme Court of India. The apex court upheld the right to maintenance for women. This was followed by a case of significant appeasement by the Rajiv Gandhi government, which passed the Muslim Women Protection of Divorce Act 1986. This law was not only gender biased but also a testament to the government's capitulation to Muslim hardliners. The law provided for maintenance to Muslim women only for the period of Iddah, which lasted 90 days. Muslims understood the power of their veto. They could have they could have any demand fulfilled, whether legitimate or illegitimate, using this veto power. The Congress government was directly responsible for giving rise to this politics of appeasement by inheriting and nurturing the vote bank of the Muslim League. This situation has prevailed since the Nehru government came to power in India. A noble instance a notable instance was Dr. B.R. Ambedkar's resignation from Nehru's cabinet in October 1951, while Resigning from Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru's interim cabinet, Law Minister B.R. Ambedkar sharply criticized the government in Parliament, questioning its priorities. He remarked that Prime Minister seemed entirely focused on safeguarding Muslims, and although he himself shared a deep commitment to ensuring their protection whenever necessary, he asked whether Muslims were the only community deserving of such concern. Ambedkar pointedly questioned why similar attention was not given to the scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, and Indian Christians, wondering what efforts the government had made to protect these groups. He clearly defined how the Nehru government was interested in the protection of a single community while neglecting others. Dr. Shama Prasad Mukherjee was a strong proponent who tried to halt the appeasement politics of the Nehru government. As a vocal critic of personal laws, he supported the Uniform Civil Code. He was also against the Nehru government's stance being hostile towards Hindu and refugees from Pakistan. The problem of appeasement politics has contributed to the continuation of polarizing politics in India. It directly benefits Bangladeshi and Rohingya nationals who take advantage of the situation. They exploit it through their tactics and align with the political parties that promote jihad. In turn, they vote for these jihadist parties. It is a symbolic relationship where the political party provides them with protection and shelter in India and they reciprocate by voting for them in elections. This situation is alarming and could have long term consequences. If the right attention is not paid to this matter, it might even lead to civil war like situation in India. We could find ourselves in positions similar to that of several European countries today. In the name of multiculturalism and diversity, they have promoted a huge influx of refugees, especially Muslims. The modern liberal thought process is causing them significant losses, even threatening their identity. Now it has. Yes, we will finish our reading session in about another 10 minutes, 15 minutes, because I have one more recording to do. So, all these recordings will be available. Oh, are you able to hear me? Yeah, is audio clear? Let me know in the chat if my audio is clear. Yeah, okay, check it. Yes, okay. So we will finish the reading in about 15 minutes, and we will have the author come and talk to us as well to discuss his concerns regarding this, because we have three recordings which have been processed, recordings on politics, recordings on Iran, recording on other things as well, which will be coming out tomorrow or the day after. So we'll just finish it about 10-15 minutes. So where we were in this matter. Now it is turned into full-fledged refugee crisis in Europe. So I think in about 20 to 25 years ago, where you had the Syrian crisis and a few in Yemen as well, you had. So you had Muslim refugees coming to Europe as refugees. And now what has happened? Now it has turned into a full-fledged refugee crisis in Europe. In the name of human rights, the demographics of several European countries are gradually changing. There is a burden on resources, and crime rates are increasing due to this issue. Cities that used to be safe are turning into hubs of criminal activities. Grooming gangs, especially in England, are operating in these cities, targeting young European women. Cities are being taken over by radicalized groups and individuals. After settling, these groups try to propagate their religion and resort to methods of violence to achieve their objective. This has led to episodes of threats and intimidation towards the native population. In principle, Islam believes in territorial expansion. The rising number of Muslim migrants in Europe, especially since 2015, has brought a new set of problems. These problems are not prevalent in the cities where there were strict policies against such immigration. Those countries secured their borders and kept themselves safe from this communal aggression. There are documented cases where European women were brutally violated and deleted by these immigrants. However, whenever the local population demands strict laws regarding immigration, these organizations suddenly start protecting these so called oppressed individuals in the name of humanity, often neglecting the trauma and suffering of the majority population has to face. Human rights organizations across the world are accused of promoting jihadi interests. Yes, human rights organizations across the world are accused of promoting jihadi interests. They focus on every isolated incident that they perceive as a threat to Islam and quickly brand it as Islamophobia. However, when Muslims show aggression against Christians in Armenia, Hindus in Pakistan and Bangladesh, or any other religion in any region, there is dead silence. Such silence is lethal and has the potential to disrupt the peace and stability of the world. Several actors across the globe are working to create a borderless world. It is alleged that they receive substantial funding from Islamic institutions and organizations to facilitate the entry and propagation of Islam in areas where it has negligible or limited presence. Interestingly, they utilize communist principles of borderless world until they have the necessary power to attack. India is sitting on a ticking time bomb. The roots of infiltration run deep, with socio-political, judicial, media, and other sources of power involved. The deepest fear is that some infiltrators have married Indian citizens, making it tougher to segregate them and their children. Such children may work to propagate jihad across the country and attempt to spread this ideology. They could potentially act as agents promoting the narrow interest of the Islamist worldview. Hindus are failing to grasp now where the problem lies. Hindus are failing to grasp the danger that this situation poses, which could lead to another partition of the country if we do not act swiftly. The changing demographics are already manifesting in many districts of India where Hindus and other non Muslims are being subdued. The presence of non BJP governments in these regions is making these issues more challenging and complex. In these states, Hindus are already facing persecution. In Shandesh Khali, West Bengal, Muslim goons felt so empowered under the TMC regime that they exploit women severely in broad daylight in a state governed by a woman. An outrage across India erupted when the extent of the attacks on women's modesty became known. There were allegations of sexual exploitation, harassment, land grabbing, and other abuse by the state sponsored goons, with Sheikh Shah Jahan identified as a key perpetrator of these heinous acts. In Sandesh Khali, women were summoned under guise of late night meetings and subjected to physical assault. These were primarily Hindu women who were then forced to sit quietly. Previously, the victims were too afraid to come forward due to the influence of TMC leaders. But once the situation escalated, they began to speak out. West Bengal Governor C.V. Ananda Bose took notice of the matter and directed the authorities to take action. When the women resisted the brutes' demands, their husbands were beaten. The visit of Governor Bose instilled confidence in the women. and BJP stepped forward to address the issue faced by those tormented by the situation. The Sandesh Khali's incident was one such event that came to public attention. There are many similar activities occurring in West Bengal. This is possibly only due to the presence of loyal vote bank of intruders who support jihadi political parties such as the current party ruling over Bengal. The chief minister herself promotes jihad as she states, আমরা বিজেপির বিরুদ্ধে জিহাদ করব. The CM, Chief Minister, has mentioned, we are doing a jihad against BJP, which means that we will wage jihad against BJP. When the Chief Minister of a state makes such statement, it automatically increases the audacity of the jihadi elements within the state. West Bengal serves as a warning sign for the rest of the country. The changing demographics have become a challenge in the state. The radicalization is taking hold, and this can have negative implications for the future. For the people of West Bengal, it is high time to decide the future they desire. If they continue to support the leader who patronizes jihad, it will surely create an existential crisis for non-Muslims in West Bengal, especially Hindus. The situation does not end with her, as the ministers working under her deliver alarming speeches in favor of jihadis. Other bordering states facing similar problems must also think critically. If this trend continues, it will lead to significant destruction of these states and ultimately the country. India cannot afford to repeat the mistakes of the past and remain a mute spectator to these developments. Timely action is crucial and is the need of the hour. The first step is to build awareness among the masses and educate them about the issue. The impact of unchecked infiltration can be catastrophic and could result in unimaginable losses. We have a responsibility to protect our resources from outsiders and safeguard our social, cultural, and political aspects. From employment to safety, everything is under threat. For these reasons, we cannot allow any outsider to consume our resources at this rate. Protecting India's resources, which is essential for Indians, is imperative. Okay, this ends the chapter. So we will end our session today. Thank you, people who have joined us. Do support us. The QR code is there. Also, you can do super chat. Also, you can subscribe and share our content. And do join us whenever we have a podcast. So we have a couple of recordings which is going to be done. So thank you very much for everybody for joining and your chats. And okay, let's see. There are okay. Let's take a few more questions. The South is pretty naive when it comes to infiltration issue. They have blessing when it comes to geography. Yes, but they're also now understanding the issue. While the Hindu sharpens his words, his enemy sharpens. Yes, that is the famous quote by Mr. Jisai Deepak, JST. So thank you, everybody. I have a recording to do at around 10 p.m. So, and again, I will be back with maybe a reading session around 11 p.m. to read one more book. Thank you. Jai Shri Ram, Vande Mataram.